I'm Victor Bhattacharya.
I'm Shayna Britt.
And we're product engineers on the geocoding team. And today we're here to give a talk about an intro to geocoding in ArcGIS Pro. Keep in mind the session is for beginners. Advanced users need not stick around. We won't be offended if you leave and go to another session. But today we'll be doing some basic geocoding workflows in ArcGIS Pro. So a quick tour of the geocoding features in Pro. So first, you can locate addresses and features. So geocoding is the process of taking an address or place and finding its corresponding location on the map. Next, we have creating a locator and a composite locator. So a locator is a tool that helps you translate addresses into points on the map. And a composite locator is a locator made up of two or more individual locators. Next, we'll do geocoding a table of addresses. So this is when you begin with a large number of addresses stored in a table or spreadsheet and quickly convert them into points on the map. Then we have reverse geocoding. So this is the process of translating a point on the map to its nearest address or place. So right-clicking and asking what's here. And then finally, we'll do a little bit on sharing. So sharing a locator to your ArcGIS enterprise organization or to your standalone server to use as a service. With that, let's get to the demos. So I'll hand it over to Shayna for our first demo.
Okay, I'm going to show you how to interactively find locations on the map using locators and features in ArcGIS Pro. When you sign into ArcGIS Pro, locators from the active portal are automatically loaded into the project and are ready for you to use. The active portal can either be ArcGIS Online or it can be ArcGIS Enterprise. Each include the ArcGIS World Geocoding Service. I'm currently signed into ArcGIS Online, so the World Geocoding Service will be available to me. Interactive geocoding is primarily done in the locate pane, but you can also interact in the map to do reverse geocoding. To start, we'll go to the map ribbon and click the locate button, which will open the locate pane. The locate tab allows you to view the results from searching for addresses. As you type, you can see suggestions returned. When you click the settings tab, you can see the locators or the layers that you've configured for search. You can turn the locators off and on. You can turn the suggestions off and on if the locator supports suggestion. We can also change the order of the locators so that this will affect the order in which the candidates are returned back in the locate pane when you search. So let's search for something. We are currently at the convention center, so let's search for its address. As I type, you can see that I'm getting suggestions returned from the World Geocoding Service. When I click the suggestion that I'd like to go to, the map zooms to that location. When multiple suggestions are returned, the best match is returned first. We can see additional information about the candidate that was returned by right-clicking and selecting Show Details. A pop-up shows up, and here we can see that the score is 100 for the match. The adder type field shows us the level of accuracy for the candidate, and we can also see the XY coordinate for the result. So now you're down here at the user conference and you want to meet up with one of your colleagues at their hotel. Unfortunately, they don't remember the name of the hotel, but they do know the closest intersection to where it's at. So we can search for an intersection using the World Geocoding Service. Again, as I type, I get suggestions from the service again. And once I hit enter, I get the result returned back. Not only can you search for addresses or intersections with the World Geocoding Service, you can also search for points of interest, such as Petco Park, SeaWorld, or Mount Whitney. So now that you've met your colleague at their hotel, you decide to go meet up and get a drink at a local brewery. You overheard some other people at the conference talking about Karl Strauss, and you'd like to check it out. So let's go ahead and type Karl Strauss and see what we get. Again, I'm getting suggestions for the point of interest. And the location that we want to go to is on Columbia Street. If you notice, it's around the corner from the hotel. If you wanted to find out what else was nearby or perhaps around the corner, we can reverse geocode by interacting with the map. We just right-click on the map and select what's here, and we'll get a pop-up of things that are nearby. So far nearby, we have extraordinary deserts and an intersection. And these are both returned back from the World Geocoding Service. We can also search for layers that we've added into our map in the locate pane. You may have added like cell phone towers or water meters or electric charging stations, and you want to search for specific features on the map within all of the layers. There's two ways that you can search for features or locate features. You can locate all fields and all layers for all of the layers in the current map, or you can configure a specific layer to search in specific fields to search for things. So now that in order to access the different search methods, we click the filter, which you can search for layers. Layer search equals, which is searching for an exact match in all of the fields and all the layers in the map. This is case sensitive. Layer search contains allows you to search for a string and get the results back. It searches through all of the layers and all the fields, but it is not case sensitive. So some of the layers that I have in the map are for recreation areas here in San Diego. So now you've come down to the conference, you happen to bring your family, including your dog, and you want to spend some time with them at the beach. So we can search for the dog beach that's down here. I'm going to do a layer search contains and see what is returned. So we'll search for dog, hit enter. So our first result is coming back from the recreation layer for the dog beach, and we're zoomed to the dog beach. But we're also getting results back from our streets layer because we search for dog, and there are some street segments that contain the word dog in it. The dog beach is also returned back first because the recreation layer is listed first in the contents pane. We can see additional details about the feature by right-clicking and selecting Show Details. We see the additional attributes that are a part of that layer. Now your family would like to check out some other activities down in San Diego, perhaps a Padres game or go to the museum at Balboa Park. We're going to configure the landmark layer to search. So we'll go back to our Settings tab and click the Add Locate Provider and select Add Layer. We'll choose the landmark layer. Click OK. And now we're presented with the Configure layer for Locate pane. This also shows the different search modes for either equals or contains. Let's set name to equals and feature type to contains. We'll hit back. Since I did this demo yesterday, unfortunately, I did not get the prompt that asks you to index your fields. Indexing the fields will improve the search performance. Again, I can move my locate provider up and down, which also affects the sort order for when we search for things in the locate pane. So I want to get my results back from the landmark layer first. We'll go back to the locate tab, and we want to change the search mode to use the locate settings. This setting is the default setting, and it uses the layers and the locators that you've added to the project. So let's search for Petco Park. Notice I'm getting suggestions back from the world service, but I'm not getting suggestions back for the layer that I configured. We'll hit enter, and I've got results back from the landmark layer and from the world service. And if we open up the details, we can see that I'm also getting values from the attributes for the fields that I configured. So name is giving Petco Park, and the feature type is giving stadium ground. We also can see that we have our search history that's listed, and we can see all of the locations that I've searched for in the demo. Victor is now going to show you how to use the geocoding geoprocessing tools.
Sweet. Thanks, Shana. I'm here to do a tour of the geocoding geoprocessing tools in ArcGIS Pro. So let's get started. A locator is a tool that contains the information necessary to transform addresses into locations and vice versa. So far, we've been using the World Geocoding service. However, if you have your own data, you can build your own locator based off of the reference data that you have. This could be more specialized for your organization or contained to a smaller geographic area that contains data specific to your business that might not be specified in the World Geocoding service. So, for example, we have two feature classes that we can use to create a locator in this project. We have streets, and we have address points. Let's open up the data and the Create Locator tool to get a better idea of the data we're working with and how it gets mapped. To open up the Create Locator tool, we go to the Analysis ribbon, click Tools, go to Toolboxes, and under the Geocoding Tools, we click Create Locator. In the Create Locator tool, we must specify the country we're hoping to do geocoding in. So that's the United States. Then we choose the data that we want to use to build the locator. In our case, we want to build a street address locator based off of the San Diego streets data that we have. We can build a multi-role locator by selecting multiple roles. This is the recommended way of building locators with multiple feature classes. So let's select street addresses for our streets. And if we wanted to include the point addresses here, we could as well, and use the points. So we won't do that. Let's get rid of this guy. Can we not get rid of him? There's an X, okay. So let's just build a streets locator for now. So since we chose a street address locator, we have to choose, there are a bunch of required fields. So we have the house address ranges on each side of the street segment. So on the left side of the street segment, the house numbers that they go from and to, and then the right house numbers that go from and to, as well as the street name. We want to map as many fields as we can from our data to get the best possible geocoding results. So let's start mapping some fields. So we've got left house number, left from, left to, right from, right to, as well as prefix direction, and street name is name, suffix type is type. And we've got left city is place name, right city is place name R. They're all going to be in California, but since we have that data, we might as well put it in to the locator. So left state and right state. And then left zip. And right zip. Sweet. So next we define what we want to call our output locator. So let's call it San Diego Streets, SD Streets. Next we pick the language. So all of our records are in English, so we select English. And then we've got some optional parameters as well. So if we had alternate street name table, we could do that. So if a street goes by multiple names, we could join the streets to the alternate name table using a join ID, but we don't, so we won't use that. And we've got custom output fields. So let's say when you wanted to search for this record, you also wanted A41 to be returned because it's an important value for your organization. So we could add a custom output field, FCC, and we're asked to map those values. Since we're using a street address role, we have to map both the left and the right values for that street segment. So let's map them both to the same value, FCC. And all of our inputs look good, so let's click run. Now the create locator tool will build a locator for us. And once it's created our locator, we can use it to search for addresses. Whenever you create a locator in Pro with the create locator tool, it gets automatically added to the project and the locate pane. So if we go back to the locate pane, under settings, we have the SD Streets locator that we just created. So let's enable it and try to search for some addresses. Let's search again for the San Diego Convention Center. So 1 Harper Drive. Notice that we are able to geocode with the locator that we created, and we get suggestions as we type. We're able to find the address, and the locator is working as expected. For more guidance on using the Create Locator tool to build your own locators, there's an entire session about it called Creating New ArcGIS Locators, Thursday 4 to 5 in the San Diego Convention Room 30E. So make sure to check that out if you have your own data. So we just talked about how you would create a locator. Let's talk a little bit about composite locators. So a composite locator is 2 or more locators working together to create a streamlined search experience. Some reasons for creating a composite locator could be you have an old existing locator that you want to utilize with a new locator that you've created. Or you could create a composite locator of your own locator and the World Geocoding Service so that addresses that can't be found by your data can fall back on Esri's services. In my case, in this project, I already have a point address locator, and we just created a street address locator generated with San Diego street segment data. In order to create the best San Diego locator, and that will get the most matches while geocoding, we can combine these 2 locators into one composite locator. That way, whenever we search, we're able to search on both the points and along street segment lines for the best possible results. Creating a composite locator is relatively easy once you have the locators you want to include in the composite. We open up the geoprocessing pane, so analysis, tools. Under the geocoding tools toolbox, we have the create composite address locator tool. We select our participating locators, so San Diego streets and San Diego points. Give them helpful names, so street address and point address. Scroll down. So we give the composite a helpful name. So San Diego composite. And then we click run. So this creates the composite locator, and we're ready to use it to search. Let's try searching the new composite locator we've created. So we go back to the locate pane, turn off all the other geocoding services in the settings, turn on the San Diego composite that we created, and try searching for an address. So 400 West Broadway, San Diego. We're able to locate the address, and the composite locator is working as expected. So far we've been searching for single addresses, but a lot of you are probably interested in geocoding a large number of addresses at once in a table. So for example, I've got this San Diego addresses table. If we open it up, we can see what's inside, and we see it's a bunch of restaurants in the San Diego area. So we've got a bunch of fields here, so name, and then address, city, state, and zip. So we want to put these locations on the map in order to determine what's within walking distance from the convention center so we can go get dinner somewhere. If we want to geocode this table of addresses, we can do so by right-clicking on the table and click Geocode Table. This launches the Geocode Table pane, a guided UI that's intended to help you do batch geocoding. Let's start. So first we're asked, is our data in more than one field or in one field? So since we have address, city, state, and zip, we'll select more than one field and click next. Next we're asked for our input locator. Let's choose the composite locator that we just created and click next. And then we're asked to map the fields. So we see that some fields were auto-mapped for us. So address to address, city to city. Let's map state and zip as well. And then click next. And then finally it asks us where we want to save our output feature class. So the default geodatabase is fine for our purposes. If you were to save it in a folder instead of in a file geodatabase, it would create a shapefile instead of a feature class. Let's click finish. We're asked to review our inputs, so everything looks good to me, and let's click run. Sweet. So all of those restaurant locations were put on the map, and we were able to match all of them. We receive an option to rematch addresses. If we had some unmatched records, we could go through each record and see all of its prospective candidates and match them manually. To see what this looks like, let's click yes to start the rematch process. It turns out that our data is pretty good, so before we start, let's unmatch a few addresses for the sake of our demo. So we click the unmatch button a few times. So once we click the unmatch button, these records are sorted into the unmatched section. We can inspect a certain record if we think its initial match was wrong and choose a better candidate. We can pick a candidate from the list and select match. So this is a particular record. It had this match, but let's say we think this one's a better match for it, and then we can click match. The candidate disappears from the pane since it's been matched and gets sorted into the matched section. There are some other cool features in the rematch pane. For our next candidate, let's pick a point on the map instead of from the candidate list. So we click the Pick from Map button. And we can put the selection wherever we want. So let's put it here. We see that a point is dropped on the map with a PP label, and we see its XY coordinates end up in the rematch pane. So once we click the match button, it disappears into the match section. In this way, we can go through and review our results of batch geocoding. Make sure to save the edits once we're done. The Rematch pane is interactive with the Geocoded Feature class. So let's open up the Output Feature class. We can sort on status, and we see that we still have 4 unmatched records. If we highlight these records, a few more options illuminate on the Rematch pane. So we can auto-rematch these records, and they will get matched to the best possible record candidate available. Or if all of them have the same spelling mistake, we could match them all to one candidate using the Match All Selected button. If we do not want to manually review each record and just match each to its best possible candidate, we can click the Auto Rematch button. The unmatched records are all matched and taken care of. Cool. So I want to share one more geocoding function available in ArcGIS Pro. So sometimes instead of taking an address and finding its point on the map, you want to take a location on the map and find its nearest address instead. There are 2 main ways of doing so: interacting with the map directly or by using a GP tool. If you want to pick a point on the map and ask for its address, you can do so pretty easily. All I have to do is right-click on the location and ask what's here. You see a pin gets dropped and traced to the location that you originally clicked to. A dotted line is traced between the 2 points. A candidate pop-up appears, and you get a candidate for each of the locators that's configured in the locate pane. If I had more locators configured, I would get candidates for each one. Right now, we only have the San Diego Composite Locator configured, so those are the matches we get. So this worked well if we wanted the address for one location on the map. On the other hand, we might have a large number of locations or lat-long coordinates that we want to reverse geocode. Let's say we run a taxi service that allows reservations to be made via a mobile device, and the app simply captures and sends the GPS coordinates of the customer, and you need to turn these points back into addresses in order to put them in your GPS. If you want to reverse geocode and get the addresses for more than one point, you can use the Reverse Geocode GP tool. So let's open that up. Analysis, Tools, Reverse Geocode. So first we select the Input Feature class, so that will be Taxi Customers. For the Input Address Locator, let's select the Streets Locator that we created earlier. We see that because we're using a street address locator, we get a few different street options. So we can match to intersections, street address, or the street name. Or ask where we want to save the output feature class. The default geodatabase is fine. And then finally, we have an option for location type. So our options are routing location or address location. So routing location would be the side of street location, whereas address location would be the rooftop or the centroid of the parcel. Since we're looking to pick up customers in our taxi, let's choose routing location. Let's click Run. So we see all of the reverse geocoded points are pretty close to the original locations of the customers. And let's see what the addresses were. So we can open the attribute table. So it looks like most of these match to a street address, so along a street segment, which is perfect. Although some of them match to street name. So street name would just put it at the center of the street instead of where it's projected to be along the street segment line based on the address ranges we have. So this is dependent on the quality of our data, and the reverse geocoded points are put to the nearest available address locations given our base data. Now let's say, for some reason, we only want to pick up taxi customers at street intersections. We can restrict our feature type to street intersection and rerun the job. Let's give it a helpful name. And click Run. And we see, as we pan around the map, the red stars are all on street intersections. Sweet. So now that we've done some reverse geocoding, I've got one more geocoding function I want to show off. So we go back to downtown San Diego, turn off some of our layers. So once we've created our own locator based off of our data, we want to share our locator with the ArcGIS Enterprise organization. We can do that in ArcGIS Pro. First, we'll need to switch to an ArcGIS Enterprise portal from ArcGIS Online. So we switch to this portal that we have set up. I'm already signed into this portal, but if you weren't, you would need to give publisher credentials in order to publish a locator. To publish a locator, we go to the Share ribbon, and under Locator, we have our available options for the locators we want to publish. Let's publish the street address locator we created. So this opens the Share Locator dialog. We're asked to name our geocoding service that'll be on the portal, give it a summary, so San Diego streets, add some tags, and then we can add it to a portal folder or a server folder if we wanted to. Let's share it with our organization so that everyone will be able to do geocoding in San Diego. Under the configuration tab, we have some additional parameters for our geocoding service. So under capabilities, we have a bunch of different operations if we wanted to restrict access to finding locations or not allow suggestions to the service. But let's leave them all on and click Publish. So the locator is being packaged and uploaded to the server and will be available as a service for our entire organization to use and geocode with. So we can now use the locator that we published to our organization. Let's go to the Catalog tab, and under the Portal section, we see the San Diego streets. So we add this to the project, and now we can see it in the Locate pane. So under the Locate settings, we see the locators with cloud icons are coming from our portal that we're connected to, and the ones without cloud icons are local locators on our disk. So let's disable all the other locators and use the San Diego streets one that we just published to our portal and search for an address. So let's search for 576 Kettner Boulevard. And we see we get suggestions as we type from the service. We click, and it's able to find locations on the map. If we wanted to publish to standalone server, that's also available starting in Pro 2.4. So we would add an AGS connection, right-click, and publish our locator service to that AGS connection as well. If you enjoyed this presentation or didn't enjoy the presentation, let us know why, and we'll work on fixing it next year. We give Intro to Geocoding in Pro every year, so we're always looking to make it better. And at this point, we'll take any questions you might have.
So will this work with StreetMap Premium?
So the question is, will it work with StreetMap Premium? StreetMap Premium is a locator that we provide that's already created. You can add the locator into Pro and publish it either to Enterprise or to standalone server.
And everything we showed in the demo will work with StreetMap Premium. In fact, the quality will probably be higher since we curated the data and scrubbed it and made sure it was good to go before we let it out the door. So.
General question about optimization. So when you were setting up the layers to be at different levels, depending on when you wanted to show up in the search, is it best to always use the layer that you plan to get results for at the top, or does it make a difference? Does that make sense?
So the question is, does the order in which the layers are in the map make a difference when you search? So yes, it does. So the order in which they are in the contents pane will determine the order in which they come back when you do the search without configuration. So if you just say, I want to search with contains or search with equals, when you use that method, the order in which they are listed in the contents pane will determine the order that the results are returned back.
You take a hit on performance if you don't put your most populous layer at the top.
So the question is there a performance hit? The performance is affected by indexing the fields. So the search is based on the fields. So if you don't index the fields, then the search will be slower.
And if you know that your result that you want back is in one layer, you'd be best to turn off all the other layers and only search that layer.
Yesterday I heard someone say that you could share a geocoder in a mobile map package. Is that the same thing as a locator when they said that?
So
Is that just a different way of saying it?
So the question is a geocoder the same as a locator, and can you share them in a mobile map package? Yes, different words for the same thing. The local locator that we created here in the demo, you could package that up in a mobile map package, and then you can reuse the mobile map package back in Pro or in Navigator on a mobile device.
And one other question, when you created that custom locator, you had a table that you selected, a streets table, and you were mapping all those attributes, it was like right begin and right end address. So where would that kind of data come from? Is that something that like a customer would build themselves, or is they buy that from a vendor, or how does that kind of data get created?
So the question is, where does the data come from, or where can you get the data that you can use to build your own locator? So you might be able to purchase data from a data vendor like here or TomTom. Your county government might have data that they've digitized. You might be able to you can also get data from the Census Bureau, the Tiger data, and use that to build the locator.
And so if you got it from the Tiger data, would it have those fields that you need typically?
Yes, so if you get Tiger data, it will have fields that have those values in them. The names of the fields might be a little bit different, so that's why it's a good idea to kind of inspect the table before you start building the locator, so you can figure out which fields you need to map to the fields that are coming back from the role.
For your customized street locator, do you still have a way to set an offset 30 feet of the street center line function?
So the question is, can you set an offset when you build a custom locator? We use the Create Locator tool, which is a new tool. And for streets, you would be able to open up the properties and set an offset.
Yeah, the reason I ask because sometimes left side, right side is really important. If you are in the boundary of the district, the right side and left side will be different district.
Right.
It's very important after you geocode.
Yeah. Another one of the tools that we have is the Create Address Locator tool, and it creates classic locators, and that is an option for setting the offset. I think I may have misspoke, but we can check the properties of the street locator under geocoding options. Yeah. So for the new locators that we create with the Create Locator tool, the option for offset is not available in the UI right now.
Cool. We'll stick around up here if you guys have any further questions, but thanks so much for coming. Appreciate it.